So today we are starting with our course, which is a class 11th course, Computer Science with Python. In this series of videos, we will be discussing all the Python chapters. So in today's series, we'll be getting started with Python. So what is the table of content we'll be discussing today? It is introduction. We'll be discussing the introduction of the Python, that what is the Python and little history about the Python. Then we will discuss about the positives of the Python. What are different positives? Then we will discuss about the different negatives of Python. And then at the last, we will be doing a hands-on on doing some programming in Python using CPython, Jupyter Notebook, and Spider IDE. These three installations we will be using. We'll go through step by step how we can do the installation and how we can write our programs in any of these three editors. So let's start with little bit history of the Python language. So Python language is one of the most used programming language nowadays, and it has gained popularity recently because of its applications in a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning programs. This language is developed by Guido van Rossum in February 1991. So though it was developed in 1991, but it has gained popularity recently. Python is based or influenced by two programming languages, that is ABC, a teaching language which was a replacement of BASIC, and Module 3. So the developer who developed this language got inspired by these two languages to develop Python. And it is considered a high level language, and yet it is very powerful as other middle level languages like C, C++, Java. So when we say high level language, a high level language is a language which is more user friendly, and it is written like a sentence, more or less, and it is easy to learn. So these are few things, few features of a high level language. Whereas if you compare it with a middle level language or low level language like C, C++ or Java, C, C++, Java, these are more syntactical language. There is a lot of syntax involved, and there are a lot of rules and guidelines you need to follow. There are a lot of type binding. You cannot assign one type of variable to another type of variable. So, but in the case of Python, it is more flexible, and that is why it is a high level language. Understand what is the plus point of using Python, a little bit about the Python, that what are the plus point that we are using Python. So some of the plus points are that it is easy to use. As I said, that this is very user friendly. It means that any program written can be understood by a person who is not even able to read or who understand the Python language. So this is more user friendly. That means it is easy to use and it is more expressive. So when we say it is more expressive, well, let's go by an example why it is considered more expressive. So if you'll see that in C and C++, if you need to swap two numbers, like if we have two numbers A and B, and you need to swap values of these two variables, you want value of A, initialized value is 10 and B is having value of 20, and you want those values to be swapped. That means you want value 20 to be assigned to A and value 10 to be assigned to B. So how you can do that? So you need a third variable C. I'm talking about only in C and C++ language. You need a third variable C, and that third variable you can assign the value of A to C, then value of B to A, and then value of C to B. So this is how value of A and B are swapped in language C or C++, or for that matter Java. But in Python, if you'll consider the role of Python, that how that swapping is done, it is simple, that you will write A and A comma B is equal to 10 comma 20. That means A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, and then in the next line you write A comma B is equal to B comma A. That means value of A and B is swapped. Now the value of A will be equal to B and value of B will be equal to A, the previous value of A. So this is how, that is why we say it is more expressive, means it expresses itself, and it is, that is why it is more easy to understand. So these are some of the features, general features of a high level language. Then it is an interpreted language. What does it mean by an interpreted language? So it means that it is executed line by line, so it is easy to debug. Now when we say executed line by line, let's say you have a 10 line of code, and you want that, when we say 10 line of code, code means certain instructions which we give to our computer to perform those instructions sequentially. So what an interpreted language will do, it will compile it one by one, it will run it one by one. That means that the first line will be executed, that command will be sent to computer, then second line will be executed, then third line. So it will execute the code line by line. When we say line by line, that means it's an interpreted language, and we need an interpreter for that. And what is, in the case of Python, we have a Python interpreter which will do this. So what is a there are certain languages which are compiled languages. That means the entire program is changed into machine language, and then it is run in a single go as a single unit. So that is not a interpreted language. So what are the some other plus points of using Python is that its completeness. So when you install Python, that it includes all the necessary libraries to perform a real project like sending emails, database operations, developing a website, everything included in the Python standard. So it means it is a complete package, and there are a lot of things which are included in this, so that you do not have to install any other component for achieving these features like sending emails or database operations. Then we have portability. So when we say portable, so portable means that the program which you develop in Python, it can be run on Windows machine, it can run on MacBook, it can run on iPhone. So it is a portable language. That is why we say portable. There are certain languages in which you cannot run those programs on other platforms. Let's say an example of a .NET program, which is a language for Windows specific machines. So sometime back, those .NET programs, you cannot run those programs directly to other machines other than Windows machines. But for the Python, this is not the case. You can, any program which you develop in Python, it can run on different environments. So that is again a plus point of using Python. And another important point is free and open source. So this is a free and open source. That means it is free to use, and source code is available so that you can modify Python version for yourself. So when we say free to use, so there is no license fee required to develop a program in Python. And the source code, how the Python works. So you sometimes you might be worrying how that program is executing, that if I'll write A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, C is equal to A plus B, how that program is executing and how Python is taking care of those variables and all those things. So that source code, how it is being done, that is also available online. That means you can see and check how the Python works, and you can even modify the features of Python. So that is a feature of anything which is open source. So this is, Python is an open source and free language. Coming to the usage, so because it has gained popularity nowadays, you can see that it is being used everywhere. People are developing web applications in this, they are developing games in this, there's many GUI applications, people are developing database applications and system administration. So if you'll see, it can be used anywhere. That is why it is being so popular language. Okay, so moving to the next part is minus or negative of Python. So what are the certain negatives of this language? Is that it is not the fastest language. So some people or some students think that Python is a very fast language. So it is not one of the fastest language, because we have more fast languages available. We have languages like C, C++, which are middle level language, which are more fast than this language. And what is the reason for that? So the reason is simple, that this is a high level language. This is an interpreted language. So it executes line by line, and it is not directly being converted into a machine language. So that makes it little less fast than other languages. But if you'll compare it with the similar high level languages or interpreted languages, Python is faster among those. So if you'll consider, there are different types of languages. We have low level languages, high level languages, middle level languages. So among the high level languages, Python is one of the fastest language, but you cannot compare it with the middle level or low level languages, which are more understood by the computer, which are more close to the machine level language. So they are still faster. But Python being used in such a diverse fields, that is why it has gained a lot of popularity nowadays. What is the negative of another negative of Python is that there are lesser libraries than C, Java, etc. So being a newly popular language, it is yet have lesser library support as compared to C and C++, Java, or all those older languages which have been there for more than 30 years. So these languages, they have, because a lot of people were working on C, C++, Java, so there are a lot of libraries available. So why we need libraries? What is a library? So library means there are certain codes. Let's say we need to send an email. So to send an email, we need to write a code, but that code is already written somewhere. Some person has written that code, and there is that code is available on internet. So instead of writing that code again, you'll just use that already written code. So that is a library. So in case of Python, there are lesser libraries available, because this is quite new language. But in coming years, maybe in 5 or 10 years, maybe it will be able to compete with those older languages in the terms of libraries. It is not so strong on type binding. So if you are aware of any of the languages like C, C++, then there is something which you cannot do. You cannot assign one type of variable to the another type of variable. There is a strong binding. Let's say if there is a string, it can be assigned to an int variable. So it is allowed in Python, but if you'll go for C, C++, Java, you cannot do that. So that is again a negative, because when you debug the program, sometimes it is difficult to understand why that program is giving error. Whereas in a case of a type binding, it is easy, because it will give you an error during the when you are writing the program itself. But in case of Python, it will not give you error. You'll write your entire program, and once you run that program, you can land into runtime errors. So runtime errors are more in Python, but in C, C++, they are less, because the syntax is checked and that type binding is checked when you are writing the program itself. So again, that is a negative of Python. Another negative of Python is that it is not easily convertible to other languages, which means that Python programs, you cannot convert it to other languages. Why? What is the reason for that? The reason for that is simple, that the Python does not follow very strict syntax, whereas other languages, they have a very strong syntax. So if you have written some program in C and C++, you will see that there are a lot of syntax and rules are there. But in the case of Python, it is not that syntactical, and that is why you cannot directly convert any program from Python to any other language. Like if you will compare the C and C++, you can easily convert C program or C++ program to a Java program. But in case of Python, it is not a 100% conversion. Sometimes you have to manually correct the syntax if you convert any program from Python to other language. So why that conversion is required? Sometimes there are dependencies of some hardware that you cannot run certain programs on that. In that case, for example, if there is a program which can run only on C, but you have written your program in Python. So in that case, you might require to convert your Python program to C program. Okay, so now coming to the interpreter and the compiler. We already discussed that, but let's again understood what is an interpreter and a compiler. So since Python is an interpreted language, let's understand how it is different than a compiled language. So what is an interpreter and how does it work? An interpreter for the Python in the this Python language processor converts HLL, which is for high level language, in machine level language by converting and executing line by line. So some of the better things because of this is that error reported at the time of execution and interpreter always present in memory. So what happens when you'll run a Python program, you'll need a interpreter. So that Python interpreter will come into picture. What it will do, it will read one line, change that line into the machine language and execute that line. So what is the benefit of that? That any error in the program is reported line by line. You'll write one line, means you have written entire program, your interpreter is executing one line, and then you'll get any error, it will be reported at the same time. But what will happen that every time when your program is running, you need to have the interpreter always present in memory. So whenever you run a program, it run on your RAM, on your memory, which is present in your system and which is readily available. So whenever you are running this program, an interpreter, which is a Python interpreter, it will occupy some space in the memory because it is needed, it is required to convert your line by line program into machine language. But in the case of an compiler, what a compiler will do, compiler will, it will not do line by line, it will again change the high level code into a machine level language, but it will generate an executable. What does that mean? That you have a 10 line of code, your compiler will convert the old 10 line of code into your machine language, and that machine language code is known as an executable. An executable, you can say .exe files you must have seen. So it will generate an executable. So any error, if your program during the execution, if any error comes, then it will come at the end of compilation when you run that program. So that error, so again what you need to do, you need to go back and compile all entire 10 lines. Okay, so what will happen in the case of an interpreter, that if you run one line is run, you get an error, it will be reported at the same time. In the case of compiler, because all 10 line code is converted into machine language by the compiler during the beginning, then if any error comes, you again need to go back, change that line, your compiler, you'll do your compilation, your compiler will generate again the machine level code, and you need to run that program again. So you cannot in between change your code. So which is better in interpreter case, which is in the case of a compiler, you don't need an you don't need it to be present in the memory every time. So this is a pro of a compiler, that once that compilation is done, that 10 line of code is converted into machine language, then you don't need compiler, so it will not occupy any space in memory. Whereas in case of interpreter, your interpreter is always present in memory, so that means your interpreter will require more memory to run a program, your compiler will need less memory to run a program, but your interpreter will report any error at that line only, and you can correct that. Whereas in the case of a compiler, it'll generate an exe and you will come to know only during the execution of the program. So now coming to the Python installation and IDE. So IDE means integrated development environment. So let's begin with to understand how we can install Python. So the default installation. So there are different type of installations available for Python. One is the default installation. This installation is available at www.python.org, which is a C Python installation that comes with Python interpreter, Python IDE, that is Python GUI, and PIP, which is a package installer. So what is a package installer? Interpreter, you know already. Python IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment. You can understand it now as an editor where you can write and save your programs. And PIP is a installer. What it will do, as we discussed, that sometimes you need certain libraries which are already there and you need to reuse that code. So instead of writing your own code, you can use that code. So those libraries are available online, and you need some kind of installer to get that code from your online source and integrate that code in your program. So in that case, you need a package installer. So PIP is a package installer for Python, which will download those libraries from online and integrate those in your program so that you can reuse that already written and tested code. So that is a default installation which you can download, which is a C Python installation. Then there is another one of the popular distributions is Anaconda. Anaconda is comes with various packages and libraries like NumPy, SciPy, Panda libraries. So in C Python, you may not get a lot of libraries, but in case of Anaconda installation, you'll get various libraries like NumPy, SciPy, Panda included in this, so that you do not have to install those using any package installer. So all the basic features, they are there in Anaconda installation. So in Anaconda, you have two kind of these things you can use. I will discuss that later. So there are other IDEs available like Spider or PyCharm. So these are other IDEs available which you can download and which will do the Python installation. And so these are nothing but different editors you can use to write your program and save your program. So what are the different modes of working in Python? So there are two modes. First is an interactive mode. So what will happen in an interactive mode? In this mode, you write a line of code and Python executes that command and shows the output. You cannot run multiple lines in single go in this mode, and code is not saved for future. So that means, let's say you are writing a program where you need to print 10 lines, or you have a 10 line of code. So what that interactive mode can do, you'll write one line, press enter, it will show you the output of that line. So that is the one mode that every line by line it will show you the output. Another is that you want certain instructions, you have 10 lines, and that is a script mode, and you want to save those 10 lines for your future use. So that is a script mode of working in Python. So you'll write multiple lines of code, you'll save that file with the normally .py extension, and then later on in if you want to run that program, you open that file and run that file. So that is the script mode. In the interactive mode, you cannot save it for future. So if you want to save it for future, you need to use the script mode. So coming to the C Python, let's understand how we can use C Python. So C Python is, there is the installation of C Python gives Python GUI as we discussed. It is also known as Python idle, which is used to work in any of the two modes, that is the interactive or script mode. Where you can get that installation? So this is this is a website from where you can get that installation. So let's how you can do that installation. So I'm going to this python.org. Here, if you'll go to downloads, there are different downloads available. And in these downloads, if you scroll down, you'll see that what all are available. And from there, you can download any of the version you want to install. So for me, let's say it is showing me that download the latest version of Windows. So I have clicked on this. If you click on this, it will start downloading this exe, and you need to run this exe. So I have already done this. It will install Python, C Python, and then you can start working on that. So once those simple instructions are there, you can install just with a click of a mouse, and it will install your Python. Okay. So that installation, once you'll do that installation, how you can open that IDE. To open an IDE, you need to go to your start button, type Python, and you will see that there are different Python modules are available. So this is idle. If you want to open idle, you can open idle, or you can go to the Python. This is a Python command shell. If you click on that, it will open up this kind of window. So this is an interactive mode. If you want to do in an interactive mode, you can use Python shell or Python command. So let's say if you want to print something, you write print. This is a syntax of printing anything. So this is an interactive mode. Once I'll click enter, it will show me the result. Let's say if I'll write 2 plus 10, it will show me the result here only. So this is an interactive mode of working. So I'm closing this window, and let's see how we can do that. So this is the interactive mode you have seen. Now let's see how we can do that in script mode. To go to the script mode, again go to your start button, type Python or py, and go to this idle. So this installation has come because we have installed CPython. On my system, it is already installed. That is why you can see that. So now here it is. So you can also use idle shell. This is the shell, and we can use idle shell to work in the interactive mode as well as the script mode. So let's see how we can do an interactive mode. Means we'll write something, and on the next line it will show up the output. So it will show up the output like here. If we want to do, we want to run, we want to write a multi-line program, we can go to this file, new file, and we can write, let's say, print hello world, or we want to print, let's say 2 plus 10 equal to, so whatever we are writing in double quotes, it will be printed as such, and whatever we are writing out of that, it will be printed in the after the processing, means after the calculation. So let's see if we need to save program. We'll click on this and we'll click on save, and we'll save this file. Let's say we have if some folder where we can do that. Let's say we want to do it in my documents. Let's say here Python scripts, we have test1.py. Okay, I'm saving it. Now I have saved it. After saving, I can open it because this is already open. I can run it using a run module. If I do a run module, it will show me this output. How that output has come. So again, it will open an idle shell to show us the output. First line prints hello world. Second line will print 2 plus 10 is equal to 12. So this is how you can work in CPython. Next is working in Anaconda distribution. So Anaconda distribution, it comes reloaded as we discussed with many packages and libraries, both interactive and script mode are available, and it includes two things like Jupyter notebook and Spider. Though there are multiple IDs involved included in this, we'll be using only Jupyter notebook and Spider. So where you can get this installation? So this is here. You can get this installation done. So if you'll go to this, here you'll see the different options available to download. So you'll go and you'll click on this download button. It says for Windows. So if I'll click on this download, it will download the installer because I already have installed this. It is there in my system. I'll just show you. So to run it, what you need to do is you need to again do your this thing. Click on your Windows button and go to Anaconda Navigator. So anything you need to work in Anaconda, you can go through Anaconda Navigator. If you click on Navigator, it will open up. It will take some time to open up. So in Anaconda Navigator, we will be using two applications. One is Jupyter Notebook and another is Spider. Spider again is a powerful IDE, and most of the developments in software companies, this is being done in Spider. So here we have our Anaconda Navigator, and you need to find where is Jupyter Notebook. Here it is Jupyter Notebook. You click on this launch button and it will launch that Jupyter Notebook. So this Jupyter Notebook, this is a web-based tool, or you can say a web-based editor. So it will open up in a browser. Whatever browser is your default browser, it will open up there. So there you need to click on this new button here, and you need to click on Python 3. It will open up a shell where we can start writing our program. So to work in the interactive mode, what you can do, you can write your command here like hello, and you can do run. So it will print the output here. And if you want to give it a name, you want to save it, so you can write in your this is a command shell. The square you can see, this is rectangle, you can see this is a command shell, and you can also write multiple lines here. Like if you need to print this, I can do this, so it will give me an output here. If you need to save this notebook, you need to give it a name here. So here in this untitled place, you need to click and you need to give it a name. Let's say test2, and you can save it. So once it is saved, it is available here. If you refresh it, you can see that it must be available somewhere. So there, this is the test2. We'll just close it and open it again. Okay, so why it is not there? Do you know what is the reason for that? Because we have not saved it. We need to click save to save it. Let's try one more time. So we need to go to save file and we need to save it. Let's say save it with a new name, test3. Okay, and so you can explore what all buttons are there. Here it is save. It is auto. It is also auto saved, but you need to click on save also in between if you need to save something. Let's again go to this our home page. Go to this test3 we just saved, and here you should see your 2 line of code. So this is how you can work in script mode, that you need to give it a name and you need to click save so that it is saved. So that is in script mode. So we are done with our Jupyter notebook. Another IDE, important IDE is Spyder. To launch Spyder, you need to click on launch, which will launch your Spyder IDE. So this is one of the recommended IDE for any development. So you can use Jupyter Notebook, CPython for your learning, but when you will be developing any real project, you can use Spyder, or even in your learning also you can use Spyder. We'll wait it for open. So it will open up your any recent program. Like this is one of the recent program I have written. And here in the right side bottom, you can see that it is connecting to kernel. So once connected, it will show me this line. So this section here, this is a Python console, and here you can write your program in interactive mode. Like if you want to write something, you can do it here. And if you want to write a new program, you can write it here. Let me open a new file so that you can see. So this is how a new file will come. I'll just remove everything there and write simple or hello world. So if you'll see, this is more user friendly to use. So this is just a 2 line of code I have written. I need to save it using this, and I need to, the current name is untitled py. I'll just go to any of the folder we were using. Let's say Python scripts, and I'll name it, say test, say 2, and save it. So now it is saved, and I can run it by clicking on this run button. So once I'll run it, it will show me output in that Python console here. So here is the output. So now we have covered the working of all the three, that is CPython, our Jupyter notebook, and our Anaconda. So this is how we have seen our Jupyter notebook and in both the modes and the Spyder IDE. Okay. So this was the first chapter, getting started with Python. After this, we will be covering all the chapters of the Python in class 11th CBSE board. We are referring Sumita Arora, which is a book, Computer Science with Python, being referred in most of the schools in class 11th. So you can follow this series of videos and most of your doubts will be clear. If you have any doubt other than what you have not, which is not covered in these videos, you can leave a comment and I will try to reply to your comment. So please subscribe to this channel so that once the new video is available for next chapter, you can get to see it. Press the bell icon so that you can also get a notification once the new video of the next chapter is available.